If you want to know what time it is on God's clock, you don't look at a watch. You don't look at the stock market. You look at a tiny strip of land in the Middle East, roughly the size of New Jersey. For thousands of years, the Bible has insisted that this specific patch of dirt would become the epicenter of a global climax. And for centuries, that idea seemed laughable. But today, you turn on the news, and what do you see? You see a geopolitical fuse burning exactly where the ancient prophets said it would. The question isn't just about politics or borders. It's deeper. Is it possible that the chaotic headlines we scroll past every morning are actually ancient prophecies being fulfilled in real time? Are we watching the gears of a divine timeline lock into place? Today, we are going to strip away the noise and look at the raw data of Scripture. We are going to trace a timeline that began 4,000 years ago and is crashing into our modern reality. We're talking about a nation that shouldn't exist, a city that haunts the world, and a future conflict that will involve every single one of us. Welcome to the investigation. To understand where we are going, we have to understand the blueprint. Most people view history as a series of random accidents. Empires rise, empires fall, chaos reigns. But the Bible presents history as a story with a specific trajectory, and Israel is the main character in that drama. It's not just a country, it is God's prophetic timepiece. Every major event involving the Jewish people serves as a tick on that clock. And for a long time, the clock seemed broken. It starts with a contract, not a treaty signed by politicians, but a covenant cut by the Creator. Go back 4,000 years to Genesis 12. God pulls a man named Abram out of the crowd, an old man with a barren wife, and makes him a promise that defies logic. He tells him, "I will make you a great nation. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse him who curses you." This wasn't a suggestion. It was an unconditional, unilateral covenant. God promised three things: a specific land, a specific people, and a specific blessing that would touch the entire world. But there was a catch. There was a warning embedded in the fine print. In Deuteronomy, God warned that if the nation turned away, the consequences would be catastrophic. He said, "The Lord will scatter you among all nations, from one end of the earth to the other." And that is exactly what happened. Fast forward to the year 70 AD. The Roman legions under Titus surround Jerusalem. They breach the walls, burn the Second Temple to the ground, and slaughter over 1 million people. The survivors were dragged off in chains, sold into slavery, and dispersed into every corner of the known world. For nearly 2,000 years, the nation of Israel was dead. It was erased from the map. The land was renamed Palestine by the Romans to mock the Jewish people. It became a desolate wasteland, passed between empires: the Byzantines, the Arabs, the Crusaders, the Ottomans, the British. Mark Twain even visited in the 1800s and described it as a hopeless, dreary, heartbroken land. By all laws of sociology and history, the Jewish people should have assimilated and disappeared. That is what happens to scattered tribes. They vanish. But they didn't. And this is where the plot twists. The same prophets who predicted the destruction also predicted an impossible resurrection. Ezekiel 37 describes a valley of dry bones, bleached, brittle, dead skeletons. God asks, "Can these bones live?" It's a rhetorical question because the answer is obviously no. But then the bones start to rattle. Muscle knits to bone. Skin covers flesh. Breath enters them. God says, "These bones are the whole house of Israel. I will bring you back to the land of Israel." For centuries, theologians read that and scratched their heads. It seemed like a metaphor. But then, the 20th century happened. On May 14th, 1948, the impossible became reality. Out of the ashes of the Holocaust, in a single day, the state of Israel was born. The British Mandate ended. The armies of the surrounding nations attacked immediately, and yet the nation survived. This is the budding of the fig tree that Jesus spoke about in Matthew 24. He said, "When you see the branch become tender and put forth leaves, you know summer is near." That generation, the generation that sees the fig tree bloom, is the generation that will see the end. But the clock kept ticking. In 1967, another massive prophecy clicked into place. For 1900 years, Jerusalem, the heart of the biblical narrative, was trampled by foreign powers. Jesus prophesied in Luke 21 that Jerusalem will be trampled by Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. In June of 1967, during the Six-Day War, Israeli paratroopers burst through the Lion's Gate and recaptured the Old City. For the first time since the Roman conquest, Jewish sovereignty returned to the Temple Mount. Think about the weight of that. Jesus said the times of the Gentiles have an expiration date. When Israel took back Jerusalem, it was like a cosmic alarm bell going off. It signaled that we are transitioning into the final act. And now? Now we are seeing the setup for the climax. The Bible tells us that in the last days, Jerusalem won't just be a city, it will be a cup of trembling and a heavy stone for all nations. Zechariah 12 predicts that the entire world will be hyper-focused on this tiny city, trying to move it, trying to solve it, and getting injured in the process. Look at the United Nations. Look at the news cycle. Why is the world obsessed with Jerusalem? Why does a zoning dispute in East Jerusalem trigger global riots? Because God is making it a heavy stone. We are also seeing the stage set for the third temple. For prophecies in Daniel and Matthew to be fulfilled, there must be a functioning temple in Jerusalem in the last days. For decades, this seemed impossible. The Temple Mount is occupied by the Dome of the Rock. But look at the shifts happening right now. You have organizations like the Temple Institute, who have already recreated the sacred vessels, the priestly garments, and the blueprints. We've even seen the intense search for the red heifer, a biblical requirement for ritual purification found in Numbers 19. In 2025, the world watched as reports swirled about these heifers. There were conflicting reports. Some sources claimed a secret sacrifice had already occurred, while others maintained the candidates were still viable and waiting. The mere fact that this is being discussed on mainstream news is mind-boggling. Simultaneously, the status quo on the Temple Mount is crumbling. For years, Jewish prayer was strictly banned there. But recently, under the tenure of officials like Itamar Ben-Gvir, the reality on the ground has shifted. We are seeing video evidence of open Jewish prayer, prostration, and worship, often protected by Israeli police. The taboo is breaking. The way is being paved. All of this, the regathering, the conflict, the temple preparations, is leading to one specific event: the spiritual restoration of Israel. This is the end game. The Bible speaks of a time of immense trouble, often called Jacob's trouble, where Israel will be backed into a corner with no allies left. But in that moment of darkness, the light breaks through. 10 says God will pour out a spirit of grace and supplication, and they will look on me whom they pierced. That is the moment the blinders come off. The physical restoration of 1948 was just the body coming together. The spiritual restoration is the breath of life entering the body. The nation will recognize that Yeshua, Jesus, was the Messiah all along. So, what does this mean for you? It means we are living in a privileged and precarious time. The prophecies that ancient kings and righteous men longed to see are unfolding on our Twitter feeds. The faithfulness of God to Israel is your guarantee. If He kept His word to scatter them, and He kept His word to gather them, He will keep His word to you. The clock is ticking, the stage is set, and the story is rushing toward its conclusion. The only question left is, are you watching? I want to know what you think. Do you believe the events we are seeing in Jerusalem today are the direct fulfillment of Zechariah 12, or is it just geopolitics? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to keep decoding these signs with us, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell. We'll see you in the next deep dive.